Hey everyone, second batch of crab apples that I need to separate. Hopefully it will go as easily as the first batch, so this shouldn't take too long. Similar, I hope you heard that, similar to the first 5, there's some interesting things going on with these 5, so let's get stuck in, shall we? Okay, let's get stuck in as I knock my drink over. So, if you've watched the other video, same approach as that time, and actually those 5 came away quite a bit easier than I thought they would, so I'm hoping I'll have a similar, come on baby, I'll have a similar outcome with these. Same as before, I'm sure you can probably see it, but got this horrible bloody liverwort growing all across the top, so each of these is going to be individually repotted in new soil to hopefully grow on. So that is tree number 1, pretty standard, boring S shape. I'll pop that to one side. What I'll do is I'll get them all out and then have a closer look. So the temperature in the UK today, I don't know what's going on with the weather. We've had heat waves followed by today, which is a really cold spell now. Where did that go? Is that a worm? So here's a question for you. These were purchased as bare root seedlings, and the soil, oh, calm down mate, the soil was fresh in a box from Bonsai. How do worms get into a soil from the bench? And now I've got a wasp. There we go, nature time, as the wasp goes between my legs. Right, I'm going to pop the worm under the bench where there's lots of soil. Yeah, how would a worm get into this? Don't know. Tree number 2, some movement, not particularly. Yeah, some movement, that's okay. Right, number 3 is the biggest, and I deliberately haven't done anything with this. No wiring, no cutting. Oh my good God, look at that taproot. What on earth? Wow. So that's the length of the tree. Now, considering the other 5 and the couple I've just pulled out, that root is incredible. And look again, bloody liverwort all around this, so this needs to be gone. I'll tidy that up in a second and get that gone. Next one comes out nice and easily. This has had so I've cut it here, and then for some bizarre reason I've wired this little branch. Let's get that wire off. I don't know if any of you make notes of the work you're doing on your trees, but it might be worthwhile, because I don't remember why I did that. Did I plan on chopping it there? But then if I did, why would I chop it there? It's got this massive branch. I might chop it there looking at this now. In fact, let's make that call. Doesn't need to be anything too fancy. Yeah. So that is going to be a totally different style to the rest of the crab apples that I've got. And then this last one has got, I don't think that will show on the camera, will it? Covered in spiders' webs. I tend to leave the spiders alone. There's loads of them on the bench. And I'll leave them be. Figure they'll help with pest control, but they can cause a bit of a mess with webs, and I'm not a fan of spiders either. Right, this one feels, oh my, no way, is that all the roots? That is not possible. Is it possible? So, yeah, temperatures here have been all over the place. Today, as you probably saw at the start of the video, it's about 20, 21 degrees. And it feels like it's going to rain, if I'm honest with you. Not a bad thing. Okay. It's quite fascinating how some of these have such vigorous root growth and others nothing at all. And again, I've added wire to this for some bizarre reason. Let me take this off. Could not even begin to tell you how long this wire's been on. So, what I would say is unlike a lot of people, I wire quite loosely. Especially with young trees where there's nothing really established. That wasp is back. Get out my mouth. So this one, maybe wiring it was a good idea. I quite like it. So, okay, it's had a massive chop there. So it would have curved around. So I would have initially wired it that way. This branch has then taken over. And you can possibly see, can you? There's a little, where my thumbnail is, there's a little bit of wire bite just starting. So I've caught this at the right time, actually. So that one's taken over as the dominant sort of leader. This one's nice on the side. A couple of low, but I quite like this one. And then where it was chopped, we've got some growth coming out at the end, which I'll probably remove. Okay, I'm going to tidy this up a little bit and then come back. So by tidy up, I meant move the box out of the way, move the pond basket out of the way. So I'm just going to get rid of most of this soil, just because I don't want that liverwort to cross over into the pot. So this one, as you can see, it's got an enormous taproot. So I'm going to put some new scissors. I've still not used them because I don't need to. These will suffice, my little squeakers. So I'm going to provisionally chop that there. This is ever so bizarre. Could that be trunk line? If I removed these fine roots growing upwards? I think it could. Let me get rid of some of these. So I'm being quite rough with these. Was it something more prized or further developed, I'd probably be a little more careful, but don't really need to be right now. So what I don't want to do is bare root this. So I need to be careful. So you can see the bottom one was the thick one that I cut. Then it's got one above it with lots of fine roots at the end, and then not much around the base. And that wasp, what have I eaten for you to be harassing me? I'm going to leave those. I'm going to take the rest of this big one off though. Makes sense to remove it now completely. Hopefully some more roots will grow out of this side. I'm not going to tidy the cut up. I'll leave it as it is. See what happens. So that one's ready to be repotted. Next. So this is the one that I probably like the most. Got some good movement. Let's have a look at what the roots are doing. So, as I said in my last video, if you've not watched it, I'm not sure if you're meant to repot these at this time of year. However, my concern was that because they were all in the pond basket together, the roots would become intertwined and become a bit of a headache. So that one is coming straight out laterally, and then there's nothing really until the very end where the finer roots are, so that is going to be removed. This thick taproot coming down, let's get rid of that. We don't want anything coming straight down below the tree, because when it does eventually go into a bonsai pot, they're quite shallow, and a thick root going straight down would just get in the way. So we've got another very thick root coming out the bottom. Now I'm going to remove that. That wasp is back. I was out here the other day just doing a quick watering, and a bee landed on my upper arm, and it just wouldn't go. I don't really want those high up. Let's get rid of them now. And that one. Yeah, this bee landed on my arm, and I tried to sort of gently shoo it away. Wouldn't have none of it. And I'm looking at it going, are you asking me for something? No idea if it was or not, but we went indoors and got some honey just in case, because it was a very hot day. I think that'll do for this one. Very hot day. And I put some honey on the bench, but the bee wouldn't leave my arm. So I had to put some honey on my finger. And literally, like this, with the honey there and the bee eventually on my finger, sat there for several minutes while the bee just slowly, well, I don't know, do bees drink the honey? Do they eat the honey? Whatever the correct term is, it was doing it. So this one is very long. It's got a little bit of curvature. Quite a long straight section here. Branch to the side. Nothing from there. Looks like it broke off. That looks like a bud point there, and then okay, you can see I chopped it here, and that all that growth is carried on. I don't think though. Decisions. Let's look at the roots and then I'll come back to that. So again, thick one, doing all sorts of corkscrews, so get rid of that. This one does come out to the side and then loops around. I'm just going to take it back to there for now. That may well come off in the future, but because it's flat, I'm not too concerned at the moment anyway. Right then, what would you do with this? Chop it there. But then I'm going to have two that are almost identical. However, this one has much better roots than this one. Chop it here, or here, or here to get some change in direction. Chop it where my thumb is to hopefully get some growth out here. By looking at that, the camera probably won't focus. I can't tell if that is a bud point or if... No, I think it is. Or do I leave it? Or do I add more wire? So, because they're so young, there's almost too many options, and at the moment, no single option really stands out. So I think because of that, I'm going to leave it as it is. Right, next one. This one's got the liverwort on. Do you know, compared to the other five in my other video, these have got much thicker roots. So look at this one here, look. Absolutely enormous. Comes down, then out, then down again. And we've got, similar to the others, some finer roots growing up the side of the trunk, which I'm not too keen on. That'll give me another centimetre approximately of trunk line. So it takes a right angle turn there and then another right angle turn there. If I remove the whole thing, there's not going to be many roots left at all. We've also got underneath this one coming straight down as well. Two. So I'm going to take them off because all they're going to do is thicken over time. And that one. Okay, so we've got a few out there. A few out there, out there. So I'm going to remove this big root to there. This is going to be a big root cut. Hopefully, the roots to the left will be enough to help this little tree survive. Right, let's have a look at the tree itself. I mean, that's a severe bend, isn't it? Up and around and around. Why did I bend it that way? What was my logic? And then I cut it here. Honestly, don't know. I could cut it there. It's got some movement, and as that ages, that will only thicken up and look alright. This curve's just too much. Could I bend it back outwards a little bit, or maybe twist it? Oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, because I've just snapped it, I'm going to do that. Now if that grows on from there, great. If any of these other buds, which look like buds, come to life, great. That's a shame, but who knows, like, you know, in a year's time that could look fantastic. And then this one's the worst of the lot, I think. Let me get rid of this soil and this liverwort that's all around the base. Because the other thing as well to repot them, because the 5 are in such a big pot, it held on too much water, which is why this liverwort has grown so freely. Wow. Look at that. Well, that is a joy, isn't it? Look at the way that goes. So that is coming off completely. Regardless of what's left, that is gone. So that's all. Imagine if the tree grew like that. That'd be fantastic. Instead, well, how long's that? About 2.5 feet? This one's roots are horrific. It's got another thick dominant root coming downward. It's going. If this one doesn't make it, it doesn't make it. But there, well, there's not a lot of roots left. But who knows? Because there's so few roots, and because the tree is so long, tall, I'm going to chop the tree as well. So we've got, I mean, look at this distance between the base of the tree and the first growth point. There, there, quite a big one there, there. Looks like it attempted to there and died, and then we've got a thicker branch going up. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, just above that third one. My theory, and all you bonsai aficionados can correct me, is now it will need the roots to do less work supporting the height of that tree than would have done if I'd left it. Okay, let's repot these bad boys, shall we? So, exactly the same process as last time. 5 of these basic, very, very thin pots, and I'll be repotting in straight into this Kaizen Bonsai number 2 pre-mixed bonsai soil. I use it for everything that I've got, whether that's right or not. There's probably a couple of trees that would benefit from something a bit more specific, but you've got to go with your knowledge level, haven't you? And the world of soils is quite confusing. So the holes in these, I don't use gauze. The soil itself creates enough of a barrier. Once you've got enough in to stop it falling out. Right, little tree number 1, the one that I snapped. And let's now name this the runt of the litter, shall we? I'd probably cut those roots, they're a bit long, but given... No, I am going to cut them. All they will do otherwise is circle around the pot. And what I want to try and do is get them to multiply. That's fairly deep in the pot. Let me lift it up a bit more. That will do. Not really sure I need to chopstick it in, because there's not many roots to get between, but what I will do it just to remove any air pockets, and also it's good practice. I think if you maintain the principles in anything you do, you're far less likely to forget them in the future. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is this one, which is probably my favourite of the bunch. Not going to do anything too drastic to the roots. These should fit in as they are. Good. For some reason, I've quite a soft spot for crabapple bonsais when I see them. So I'm hopeful of these. Well, I hope they all survive this little summer repotting, and then I'm hopeful a couple of them become interesting as they grow. So this is the one that's got hardly any roots left. It's also quite top heavy, so I'm going to plant this quite deep and cover up probably 2 inches of the trunk that don't really need to be covered, but it will stop this, hopefully stop this from toppling over in the wind. I'll also wedge it in on the bench, so I mean there's a good example actually why it's worth doing this. It might not have shown on the camera, but there's a big air pocket here, which has just moved the soil down a centimetre or so. Okay, third one done. I must confess, I'm not really a fan of these pots. They're very cheap and flimsy. But right, why didn't I get rid of that big root coming off to the side? That's actually, looking at it now, I've got nothing coming off of it. I'm sure there was a reason, but I've forgotten it. So let's get it gone. And that actually sits quite nicely. So I'm hopeful that I won't touch these for another spring 26 would be good, but they are in very small pots, so, and the roots do grow quickly. We'll see what happens. Last one. Don't know if you, what an awful root base. I wonder if my neighbours think, what a weirdo. This is overlooked from 3 directions, this garden. Oh, I do have some other interesting news. I'm looking at buying a house abroad. But I'll know more in a month or 2. Right, that is all 5 done. I'm going to get these put on the bench and then ignore them. If you've made it this far, thank you.